What a day. What a day indeed. Public count up over $58,000 here today. It should be a great day tomorrow because Tesla stock is absolutely blasting off. It's up over 13% after hours. Here today, I went into these earnings with 1,700 shares in the public count of Tesla stock. So assuming these gains hold, it should be $32,776 up tomorrow. If you're wondering if the gains will likely hold, I will tell you this. It's looking very bullish, okay? So always freak things can happen, but based upon the after hours trading activity, it's likely these gains hold for tomorrow, maybe even see an acceleration. We'll see what happens there, okay? Elon Musk dropped several bombshells today on the conference call, okay? I want to take you guys through that. I want to tell you about them all. I listened to this conference call live on Twitch here today, and I listened to it again, kind of picked up on a lot of things that maybe I missed, and we got some big stuff to discuss in this one here today, folks. I am exhausted. I've literally worked since I got up this morning, so like 8:30, and right now here in Vegas, it is 11:04. So yeah, by the time I get this video out, it's probably going to be past midnight. So appreciate y'all joining me as always. All I ask in return is smash that thumbs up for an exhausted man here today, folks. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, that's up to you. You do what you want to do, boo, okay? And by the way, it's got a, oh my gosh, I got another one tomorrow. It's a back-to-back. Is a back-to-back, folks. Meta's tomorrow. We got that. So if you want to join me on Twitch tomorrow, it's going to be like another 3-hour live stream on there tomorrow. My Twitch channel, I'll put that as a pinned comment here today, and that one's huge for me. I'm going in with 1,700 shares into this earnings for Meta stock. So the following day, my money's going to be all over the place, okay? Alrighty, folks. So let's get into what happened here. Elon Musk, the bombshells, and all those sorts of things, okay? First place I want to start here in this story, okay? And by the way, cheers. Cheers to everybody out there. I'm drinking a glass of water. That's how you know it's been a long day when I'm not even drinking flavored something, right? So this was Tesla's horrible disaster quarter. This is what all the experts have called it, all the Wall Streeters. This is like, you know, so embarrassing for the company to put up and those sorts of things, right? And by Tesla standards, it's really bad. But the thing I think is fascinating, right, is a company in this disaster, horrible, awful, embarrassing quarter still made $1.1 billion in GAAP net income, generally accepted accounting principles. That's insane. On a non-GAAP basis, they still brought in $1.5 billion of net income. That's extraordinary for a company who has a horrible, disaster, embarrassing quarter, right? Now, I show you that because I want to show you what it looks like when other auto manufacturers have a horrible disaster quarter. Here's what happens to others, okay? Look at General Mills. It's been a long day. General Motors, for instance, right? General Motors, if you look at when they have a bad quarter, they don't make money. They lose money. A lot of money. For instance, this quarter was a bad, disastrous quarter for GM. They lost $806 million on their bottom line. This was a bad quarter for the company. They lost $232 million on the bottom line. This was a really bad quarter for them. They lost over $5 billion on the bottom line. This was a disaster quarter for them. They lost over $2.9 billion on the bottom line. Looks a little different than when Tesla has a disaster, embarrassing, bad quarter, right? Look at these quarters. They barely eked out profits, $184 million in profit, $125 million in profit, $190 million in profit. Pretty fascinating, right? By the way, General Motors, I just want to point out, they did go bankrupt in 2009. That's a real disaster, horrible, embarrassing situation, right? If you want to look at Ford, what does Ford look like when they're going through disaster, bad times? Well, Ford in 2022 had one of those years. They lost $2.1 billion on their bottom line. 2020, they lost $1.2 billion on their bottom line. 2019, they only made $84 million on the bottom line. Jeez. 2014, they only made $1.2 billion on their bottom line for the full year. Not for a quarter, for the full year. So this is fascinating, right? This is fascinating to see what other auto manufacturers look like when they're going through tough times versus what Tesla looks like when it's going through horrible, tough times, right? I show you this. This is Ford stock back in the great financial crisis. The stock got down to 72 cents a share. 72 cents. It opened up in 2009 at $1.41. The 2009 low was 91 cents a share, folks. 91 cents for Ford Motor Company, right? And I wanted to show you guys some companies for reference, like Fubo is a dollar something stock, right? The Planet is a 64-cent stock. That's how bad it got for Ford, that their stock price was so far in the gulag. It's like where stocks like Fubo and Planet are super speculative, like penny stocks, right? That's insane. That's absolutely insane to think Ford Motor Company got down there. But that was a win for Ford because at least they didn't go bankrupt like GM, right? So very important to understand the difference between Tesla going through tough, disastrous times and the rest of these guys, okay? Now, check this out. This is important and matters significantly, okay? So first thing up here, look at this. Total production was down a whopping 2% year over year. 2%. This is the epic disaster that they're talking about? 2% down? Wow, right? Now, I thought this was very important right here, okay? 12%. Total end of quarter operating lease vehicle count was up 12%. And I'm going to show you why that's so important in just a moment. The other thing I think is important here is global vehicle inventory days of supply is at 28. Now that's extremely high for Tesla standards. Usually Tesla's at we can call 15 or under. So that's high for Tesla, but that's insanely low if you compare them versus almost anybody else in the auto industry. Basically anybody else in the auto industry, they have significantly more days of supply out there than Tesla. But remember that lease number there, up 12% year over year, because this is crazy. Check this out. Model 3. You can now lease a Model 3 for $299 a month. A brand new Model 3 for $299 a month. That doesn't even take into account the gas savings, right? From not driving a gas car around and driving an EV instead. Incredible. Model Y, $368 a month. And the crazy thing is, I was like, well, maybe there's a big down payment. No. Less than $3K down. What? Less than $3K down for the Model Y as well. That's insane. That's literally like nothing. If you know anything about leasing vehicles, that's like nothing. This is insane. Look at this. You can get a long-range all-wheel drive Model Y for $419 a month. $419 a month. Now, if you take into account what your savings will be, what Tesla estimates in electricity versus gas costs, right? Check this out. You're really paying like $268 a month for a brand new Model Y, or $319 a month for a long-range Model Y, right? Model 3 and Model Y are a no-brainer, whether you're talking about to buy or to lease. If you're buying it, it's a no-brainer. The cost is so cheap right now. But if you're looking to lease and you're like, I don't really want to own it, I just want to lease it for the next 3 years. Oh my gosh, I don't even, if somebody leased another vehicle over these two, it just wouldn't even make sense. If you're going to lease another SUV or another car over a Model 3 or Model Y, you must really hate Tesla. Because that just doesn't make anything sense at all. Because you're getting a far superior product. That's crazy, right? Now, this is very important here. This shows you FSD version 12, how many miles have been driven. It's going up rapidly right now. Now, also this shows you Tesla's AI training capacity has increased dramatically, right? And all these things end up mattering significantly to the progress that's being made on FSD right now for the robo-taxi fleet, for these cars to drive themselves without any human intervention at a much better scale, right? Non-automotive gross margins, I thought this was extremely important, right? Everybody wants to talk about production being down 2%, or deliveries being down 2%. What about production, right? Non-automotive gross profit up significantly on a year-over-year basis from about $300 million in the same quarter last year to approaching $500 million in this most recent quarter. That's pretty darn impressive there. Now, this was very negative, right, in regards to this. In 2024, our vehicle volume growth may be notably lower than the growth rate achieved in 2023 as our teams work on the launch of the next generation vehicles and other products, right? Now, some people, when they first heard that, they thought that meant Tesla's going negative, and not necessarily. And Elon Musk said something very important on the conference call I'll show you in just a bit, okay? Now, also they say we have updated our future vehicle lineup to accelerate the launch of new models with an S. It's very important, okay? Ahead of our previously communicated start of production in the second half of 2025. Our purpose-built robotaxi product will continue to pursue a revolutionary unboxed manufacturing strategy, which is very intriguing what's going to happen there, right? So I thought this was very important overall because now it sounds like they might be actually working on several vehicles that are kind of their next generation vehicles, right? Now they show this slide here. I thought this was important, the Tesla ecosystem, and kind of showing everything they're working on here, right? From solar to energy storage, auto bidder, lithium refining, battery cells, the 4680 cells. There was a lot of questions about 4680 cells in the conference call. Charging, AI compute, the humanoid robots, which Elon said, they asked Elon on the conference call, when does he think, humanoid robots are going to be doing something in the Tesla factories? And he said he thinks by the end of the year, they're going to be at least doing some useful task in the factory. We'll see, but that's what Elon said, okay? FSD, vehicles, service, collision, insurance, ride hail. This was big. They showed off renderings of what could be Tesla's app for ride hailing here. I thought this was very, very important. And just kind of reviewing like what the app's likely going to look like when they have their ride hailing service, right? When the robo-taxi product is out there. So I think that matters. I think that matters significantly, and we'll get more into that in just a moment. Now, they also showed this Tesla Semi start of construction near the Gigafactory in the Reno area, and they're still very serious about Semi. You wouldn't be building this if they weren't very, very serious about Semi overall, and the Semi is a big opportunity for Tesla. It's just kind of been put on the back burner a little bit. And I think it's been put on the back burner for a couple reasons. The trucking industry's been in a tough spot last couple of years. So the trucking industry in general hasn't been the most excited to go out there and buy semis because a lot of them are in a bad financial position. A lot of the small truckers have actually gone under in the past, I would say, year and a half at this point in time. So I think that's another reason. And obviously everything that Tesla's got going on in the business model, I just think semi kind of got pushed to the back a little bit, but they're still very serious about this, and this will be coming overall. And semis long term will go electric. It's just a matter of time in regards to that. And, Tesla's going to be the biggest player there. They also talk about the cost grind, squeezing every penny out of vehicle costs. And, Elon got kind of, for a long time, Elon was seen as this guy that just burned cash, and people didn't really understand what he was up to and those sorts of things. And so I think people got the wrong impression of Elon because of what Tesla went through back in the day when they did burn a lot of cash, that he was just like not really a businessman and didn't really care about the cost and those sorts of things. And it's just, if you've seen him over the last 5 years or so with Tesla, like it's anything but that. We also continue to expand our AI training capacity in Q1, more than doubling our training compute sequentially in terms of new product roadmap. And this is Elon talking. There's been a lot of talk about our upcoming vehicle line in the past several weeks. We updated our future vehicle lineup to accelerate the launch of new models with an S once again, ahead previously mentioned startup production in the second half of 2025. So reiterating production in the second half of 2025. So we expect it to be more like early 2025. Okay, interesting. If not late this year, I mean, went from second half of 2025, so we expect to be more like early 2025, if not late this year. Like, holy smokes, this is no jokers. These new vehicles, including more affordable models, will use aspects of the next generation platform as well as aspects of our current platforms, and will be able to produce on the same manufacturing lines as a current vehicle lineup. Important, very important. If you've ever worked in any sort of manufacturing related business, you understand the importance of that, being able to do it on the same manufacturing lines and not having to gut the whole thing and start all over, right? So it's not contingent on any new factories or massive new production line. It'll be made with our current product lines much more efficiently. And we think this should allow us to get to over 3 million vehicles of capacity when realized to the full extent. That's massive, man. Massive. So Elon right there just took out all the rumors. There's a bunch of rumors that came out recently about, they're not going to build cheaper vehicles and all these sorts of things. I don't know where these rumors come from. I don't know if it's short sellers who want to get the stock down. I don't know. And the thing that makes me mad about this is everybody thought this was such big news. Elon already dispelled this on X days ago. Like actually it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago now at this point in time, right? Regarding FSD version 12, which is a pure AI-based self-driving, if you haven't experienced this, I strongly urge you to try it out. Yeah, 100%. It's profound at the rate of improvement is rapid. So we've now turned that on for all cars with cameras and inference computer and everything from hardware 3 in North America. And so it's been pushed out, I think, to about 1.8 million vehicles, and we're seeing about half of the people so far use it, and that percentage is increasing with each passing week. So we now have over 300 billion miles that have been driven with FSD version 12. Since the launch of full self-driving, supervised full self-driving, it's become very clear that the vision-based approach with end-to-end neural networks is a right solution for scalable autonomy. That's Elon doubling down there because there's still a lot of people that don't think Elon and the team has the right strategy in regards to self-driving. They believe LiDAR, they believe they need this, that. They just believe Tesla's approach is not right. Elon is quadrupling down here for the 800th time, to be honest, about Tesla's approach is the right approach. It's the only approach, right? It's really how humans drive. Our entire road network is designed for biological neural nets and eyes. So naturally, cameras and digital neural nets are the solution for our current road system, 100%, right? If all roads never had construction, everything was perfect, there was no issues, right? Maybe Tesla's strategy is not the best, but for the current road system we have, Tesla's strategy is the best. To make it more accessible, they mentioned about they reduced the subscription price to $99 a month, right? Now here, it gets very bullish on NVIDIA, very bullish for NVIDIA. He says, this is Elon Musk talking, we've installed and commissioned, meaning they're actually working 35,000 H100 computers or GPUs. GPU is the wrong word. They need a new word. I always feel like I wince when I say GPU because it's not. GP stands for graphics, and it doesn't do graphics. But anyways, roughly 35,000 H100s are active, and we expect that to be probably be 85,000 or thereabouts by the end of the year, just for training. Very bullish on NVIDIA. So Tesla thinks they're going to take possession of more H100s basically by the end of the year than they have in total right now. So let that sink in for a moment, right? Because if they have 35,000 up and running right now, Elon's still thinking they're going to get another 50,000 by the end of the year. So that's over the course of the next 9 months? Well, 8 months, really? So that's extremely bullish for NVIDIA. And I'm sure this isn't just... Tesla's not the only company out there that's just trying to get their hands on as many chips from NVIDIA as possible. I think everybody is, right? We're making sure that we're being as efficient as possible in our training. It's not just about the number of H100s, but how effectively they're used, or how efficiently they're used, right? So in conclusion, we're super excited about the autonomy roadmap. I think it should be obvious to anyone who's driving version 12, and it tells that it's only a matter of time before it has the reliability of humans, if not better. And I feel the same, right? It's going to be very quick here. Now, this is a CFO talking here. I thought this was very important. Our energy business continues to make meaningful progress in margins reaching a record 24.6%. So the energy business, no one ever pays attention to or talks about the energy business. But this is a slow growing, I don't want to say slow growing. It's slowly becoming recognized more by folks because the business is substantial. Margins reached a record high, 24.6%. We expect the energy storage deployments for 2024 to grow at least 75% higher from 2023. And accordingly, this business will begin contributing significantly to our overall profitability. I think that's an important line there. It's going to begin contributing significantly to overall profitability. So the energy business that has been always forgotten about looks like there's some exciting things going on there. Okay. Now, this was important in terms of Elon, in my opinion, talking about the vision for the robo-taxi fleet. And he was talking about it kind of like Airbnb, right? And he was given this vision. It's funny because I basically gave this vision on the Twitch live stream before we even got into that. But he gives this vision here of essentially Tesla's, for the robo-taxi network, Tesla's going to own a certain amount of their own cars that are going to be Tesla-run cars, right? Are going to be Tesla-owned. Then there's going to be certain individuals, mom and pop people like, you and I, that maybe we own Teslas and we want our Tesla to go give people rides, while we're not using the car, which is most people, most of the time, they're not using the car, right? So we can choose to do that, and then Tesla can take a cut out of that. Then you might have fleet operators. It could be companies like Uber, companies like Lyft that will be on the network as well, right? And so you have a bunch of different folks all on this network that ends up becoming the most powerful network for the robo-taxi fleet over time. And so he kind of lays out this whole vision, and then you have the ability to customize exactly how long you want these vehicles to run for. You have the ability to, if you only wanted to be able to give friends and family members rides, or people in your neighborhood, or people that had previously given rides, or have a certain star system, or whatever it is. Like, you can choose all that, right? And so it's just kind of a beautiful model overall. And he basically laid that out in these paragraphs here. If you want to pause the video and read through that, you're more than welcome. But that's basically the vision I just laid out for you there. And I thought that was really, really important, okay? This was also very important. They say, this was Elon Musk. He says, we do have some insight on how things will be in, let's say 3 or 4 months, because we have advanced models that are far more capable than what's in the car, but have some issues that need to be fixed. So basically he's talking about, 12.4 that he's talking about should be like version 13 actually, and version 14, 12.5. And he's basically saying these versions are much better. They just have some kinks to work out. And it's a process they have to work through to make sure these things are as perfect as possible before they actually get into the customer's hands, right? And he's talking about, we're working on stuff you guys don't really get to see right now in regards to, obviously, the self-driving software. Now, right here, I thought this was important because they talk about the time frame for the $25,000 vehicle. And this is one of those moments where you could look at this and you could say, Elon's trying to pump the stock, or you could say, Elon actually believes this. Elon says, we'll talk more about this August 8th, talking about the $25,000 car, but really the way we think of Tesla almost entirely in terms of solving autonomy and being able to turn that autonomy on for a gigantic fleet. And I think it might be the biggest asset value appreciation in history when that day happens, when you can do unsupervised full self-driving. Right? And then Lars says 5 million cars. Elon Musk says yes. Lars says a little less. Elon says, yes, it'll be 7 million cars in a year or so, and then 10 million. And then eventually we're talking about tens of millions of cars. Not eventually. It's like, yes, for the end of the decade, it's several tens of millions of cars. So that also gives you some insight on how many cars Elon thinks we're going to sell by the end of the decade. Right now we're in 2024, right? So we're talking about 2030. He thinks Tesla's going to have tens of millions of cars on the road. So you could run some math on that, right? Now, this is one of those situations. Is Elon just pumping the stock, or does he truly believe this, right? I don't know. My guess is I think he truly believes this is that situation. And I will say there's probably some truth to it, because when you really break down the numbers, right? So let's say my Model X, right, sits in the garage most of the time. Let's call it 23 hours a day. My Model X sits there, collects dust, doesn't do a thing. So let's say I put that car out to go give people rides 8 hours a day, okay? And then the other time it can charge and collect dust. Alrighty. So now I have to get Tesla's full self-driving software, so I have to pay $99 a month, right? Or Tesla's probably going to go up on that price longer term, right? Right now it's kind of like, let's get as many people in the system as possible. But once the vehicle can actually start driving itself, I'm guessing Tesla's probably going to go back up to $199 and then $299 a month. Now I'll gladly pay that $199 a month or even $299 a month, because that car, while it's driving everybody around for 8 hours, guess what? It's probably going to make me a lot more money than $299, right? Considerably more. And remember, that's in a day, and I'm paying $299 a month, or $99 a month, or $199, whatever the price point is at that particular time. So that basically locks you in for sure that you're willing to pay for full self-driving, right? Then additionally, Tesla's going to be taking their service fees out of that as well, right? Now, additionally, Tesla's probably going to have Tesla insurance massively scaled out by that particular time, and you'll be very incentivized to use Tesla insurance. So Tesla's going to make money off that, right? And then there's more miles on the vehicle, which is going to mean more service, more problems will happen with the vehicle, which means Tesla makes money off that. So when you just think about it from across the board, I look at something like that and it sounds kind of pumpy for right now, but when you really think about it, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, you're like, dang, I can kind of put the pieces together on maybe that is the biggest asset value unlock in the history of mankind, just to be quite frank. And you think about how many ways Tesla's all going to make money from this in the end. I mean, gosh, you might be willing to pay $500 a month for full self-driving by that point in time. If, let's say, your car is making you $4,000 a month, would you not pay $500 a month to Tesla for full self-driving? Of course you would. Of course you would. Because it's still a huge profit for you in the end. So that's just something to keep in mind there, man. That's huge, huge. No, here they talk about Cybertruck ramp, which is something I was really looking forward to them talking about. Lars basically talks about Cybertruck's gotten to 1,000 vehicles a week, which is a big milestone. Big milestone. He said this happened in the first 4 or 5 months since the start of production for Cybertruck. He mentions about the issues and challenges you have to go through with ramping the vehicle, which we all understand. But I think the fact that Cybertruck's already up to 1,000 a week bodes very well. Because don't be surprised if in a few months all of a sudden you're hearing about 2,000 a week, 3,000 a week, 4,000 a week, 5,000 a week. So this is very exciting because they can sell every Cybertruck they make for quite some time in regards to that, right? Now, right here, they start talking about licensing FSD to other automakers. And the analysts wanted to know, basically, are you guys in any talks with anybody? And Elon Musk says, we're in conversations with one major automaker regarding licensing FSD. Now, he threw some cold water on it a little later on because they were talking about it a little more in depth, and he was mentioning, well, by the time it's in an automaker, so let's say they sign a contract with that company this year to license FSD, that company likely won't have those vehicles in the market for 3 years because those companies have to set up the cameras and everything. It's not Tesla's fault. Those companies are way behind on everything, but those companies are way behind. So this is exciting because this means at least one major automaker. And who is that a major automaker? We don't know. Is it Toyota? Is it Honda? Is it Ford? Is it GM? Who is it? We don't know, but he says one major automaker is already interested. And here's the thing, okay? You guys have seen what's happened with the supercharger network. Basically, almost every single auto manufacturer is now signed up to use a Tesla supercharger network, right? Who's to say every single automaker is not going to sign up for Tesla's FSD and license that? So then Tesla could be in almost every vehicle. Tesla could end up being the Android of FSD, right? It's a pretty big opportunity. But the difference is Tesla could be Apple and Android in terms of they've got their own vehicles, they're making their own money over here, and they're the big dog in the market. But on top of that, they're taking a bunch of fees from all these other competitors out there licensing their technology. So they could end up being Apple and Android, iOS and Android in this situation, which is pretty darn fascinating, right? Now, right here, they talk about their first planned vehicles, late 2025, external customers in 2026, talking about the Semi right here, which was, I think, important. The semis, they're taking the semis much more serious, it sounds like, for the next few years. Adam Jonas of the Jonas Brothers, who I can never remember if he's bearish or bullish on Tesla. He's flipped around over the years, but he asked if they're going to grow at all. And I thought this was a very important question because there's a lot of people worried that Tesla's going to shrink their business this year. Their business is literally going to be in decline this year for the full year, right? Elon Musk said no. I think we'll have higher sales this year than last year. So that whole thought process about Tesla is, going to have a business in decline? Elon Musk says, no, we're going to actually grow the business. Now, this was, if you want to pause the video here to read through all this, you can. But they were talking about inference in the cars, and I don't even want to break it down for you guys because it's a flippin' flapjack and confusing subject, but essentially using the vehicles for inference, and the cars are actually set up really well to do this potentially because they have the massive battery packs. And Elon got to even talking about Apple could potentially do something like this, but they can't. And the reason they can't is because all Apple's devices all use super small batteries, so it wouldn't be very realistic to have somebody's smartphone that's not being used to do something like this. But cars that sit idly all the time and have these massive battery packs could actually do it. And he went all into the details around energy uses and all those sorts of things. I thought that was just some big boom talk. And, Tesla's just always thinking outside the box, and that's one of the beautiful things about that company, right? Now, did the conference call make me more or less bullish? Did I come away from that conference call feeling more bullish about the company or less bullish? I'll tell you this, okay? I walked away from that conference call feeling much more bullish. But the thing I was fascinated by is I wasn't just more bullish about the short term for Tesla, because we've heard so many bad things talked about, rumored, that you went in just expecting the worst in the world. And when it wasn't the worst in the world, it's like, oh, I feel better. So that was fascinating, but I also feel better about the long term with Tesla. And I didn't really find out any details that I didn't already know. A lot of these were bombshells that other people didn't know, right? But just hearing it talked about, reiterated, all these things that are up in my mind that I'm thinking about in terms of how this robo-taxi fleet's going to work and all this stuff, just hearing it talked about again from Elon and the team on a very focused manner, it made me even more bullish about Tesla for the long term. So I walked away feeling much better after the conference call than, let's call it, previous the conference call, okay? So really, really happy about that. Now, I want to say this, okay? Because there's been a lot of people messing around with Tesla stock, trying to trade around this stock. And 1 minute they're a Tesla shareholder, and next minute they don't hold any Tesla shares. And the next minute they're short Tesla, and the next minute they don't hold any shares, and the next minute they are all long the stock. And I mean, they're all over the place, right? Listen, guys, okay? There's a lot of people that went into this earnings saying, oh, Tesla's going to crash. Just wait, after hours it's going to be $120. It's going to be $60, $50, $80, $70. Oh my gosh, throw it all over your price target. Listen, okay? Stay focused. Stay focused on the long term. When you own great companies that you're happy to be in over the next 5, 10, 15 years, don't try to get in, get out. If you want to do a little hedging, buy some puts. Buy a small amount of puts on the position if you're really scared it's going to crash or go down. You don't have to sell your entire position. You don't have to sell half your position, a quarter of your position, anything like that. If you like the company for the next 5, 10 years, do that. If you feel like it's way overvalued and the company's not going to go up anytime soon for the coming years, I understand taking profits. But in a time period like now, Tesla's already gone through all their BS. Do you really want to dump out of Tesla now because it might go down another 10%, 20%? I don't know about that, right? And part of me really wants the stock to be lower. And the reason is I'm a buyer of Tesla stock right now, so I want to buy more shares for as cheap as possible, right? So it's a selfish wanting the stock lower. But on the flip side, I kind of want it to go higher. And the reason I kind of want it to go higher is I want it to teach a lot of people lessons. A lot of people that think they can time these things out and get out of these stocks and in these stocks, and I want to be taught a little lesson. And so I went into these earnings feeling like I don't really care what happens, but I'll be happy with either scenario. Stock goes lower, I'll bid to buy shares for cheaper. Stock goes higher, some people can learn some lessons in regards to trying to think you can time out and get in and out of these stocks like a Tesla and Tesla, right? And so, I also do like it whenever Elon can kind of stick it to the bears and show that you shouldn't really bet against them, okay? All right, guys, big day for me tomorrow. Maybe some of you guys out there, Meta live stream tomorrow on Twitch. It's going to be a beast. Sheesh, what a day, what a day. Much love, folks. Hope you enjoyed this, and have a great day.